Today we're going to be talking about the top 4 loans that you can use to buy a home in Kansas City, Lawrence, or anywhere else for that matter. If you're a first-time home buyer or if you're a returning home buyer, um, this is just going to be an overview of the loan options that will be available to you. I'm Caleb Lewis, your Kansas City realtor. Whether you're thinking of moving here in 9 to 90 days or if you already live here, I would love to be a resource for you. My number is on the screen, and let's just jump right in. Okay, so we're going to jump into what is a VA purchase loan. Number one is VA backed, which means it's backed by the federal government because the Department of Veteran Affairs is backed by the federal government. So, what does that mean for you? Well, that means that generally there's no down payment as long as the sales price isn't higher than the home's appraised value. Some people might wonder what an appraiser is. I feel like most people already know what it is, but just in case you don't know, it's an expert that comes out, reviews your property, and then they set a value that is the appraised value. So there's better terms and interest rates than other loans from private banks, mortgage companies, or credit unions, also called lenders. So generally, your mortgage will be a certain amount of percentage lower than, say, a conventional loan backed by a local bank because the federal government is backing it instead of a local bank. And then there's no need for private mortgage insurance, which is a type of insurance that protects the lender if you end up not being able to pay your mortgage. It's usually required on conventional loans if you make a down payment of less than 20% of the total mortgage amount. And that is a huge expense that is tacked on to your mortgage if you have less than 20% in equity on a conventional loan. So that's a huge plus side right there. And then there's no penalty fee if you pay the loan off early. And then there's fewer closing costs, which may be paid by the seller and they might not, depending on what the market is, what's happening, what's going on in your area. And you can use it to buy a single family home up to 4 units, buy a condo in a VA approved project, or buy a home and improve it, buy a manufactured home or a lot, or build a new home. And then also you can make changes or add new features and just do like a remodel with a VA loan in some instances. Okay, so here's what you need to know about a conventional loan. Number one, 82% of all closed mortgages were conventional loans, according to a report by Ellie Mae in August of 22. So that is a huge percentage. That's 8 out of 10 people, actually more than that. So you may be wondering, what are the requirements for a conventional loan? Well, let's jump into that. A credit score of at least 620. And I do want to mention one thing. Susan Yaki, who's one of my loan officer partners, her company, Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, actually offers a program at no charge to you if you need help getting your credit up to the 620 range. They'll basically check your credit and then give you a step-by-step plan of how to get your credit up to 620. Okay, so moving on, your debt to income ratio needs to be no more than 45%. Your minimum down payment is 3% generally, or 20% if you do not want to pay private mortgage insurance, which we talked about will add a significant amount of money to your mortgage payment, in addition to that. So your lump sum, like your mortgage and your insurance, will actually be higher than if you were just paying your mortgage payment. And then the last thing, you have to have a property appraisal verifying the home's value and condition, which generally is less strict than FHA, VA, or USDA because it's not backed by the federal government. So some things you can get away with, like if you're trying to do a fixer-upper. Some things you still can't get away with, but they'll have an appraiser come out there and check it out and see exactly if it's meeting the loan amount that you are requesting. That's basically all I've got about conventional loans. Okay, so next up we're going to talk about an FHA loan requirements. So that means you have a FICO score of at least 580. That means you can get a 3.5% down payment. If you have a FICO score between 500 and 579, that's a 10% down payment. Also, in case you don't know, a FICO score is also another name for your credit score. Or they're kind of used interchangeably. FICO is actually a company, I believe, and a credit score is just a general term for it. But a lot of people use them interchangeably. Your mortgage insurance premium will be required. You have to have a 43% debt to income ratio, and then the home must be the borrower's primary source of residence, and then you must have a steady income and proof of employment. That's basically all there is to know about an FHA loan. Obviously, there's a lot more in-depth stuff that you could get into, and if you have any further questions, you can just text me and ask me. My number's on the screen right now. Next up, we have USDA. Okay, next up, we are going to talk about USDA loan. What does that mean? Well, it's backed by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. And no, this is not necessarily like people riding around on tractors and John Deere. Some of these areas are still populated pretty well. But like you can see in the big orange areas, areas that would not qualify for a USDA loan. So you kind of have to be farther out and away from popular areas such as Excelsior Springs or Lansing. I know a few people that live in DeSoto. I personally live in Tonganoxie, and I have a few friends that live over here in Bonner that got USDA loans. So let's jump into what the requirements are. Okay, so your income, you have to have 1 year of history required. If you're not self-employed, if you are self-employed and seasonal, you need 2 years of history. You must have a household income that does not exceed 15% of median household income. Agree to occupy the dwelling as their primary residence, be a U.S. citizen, U.S. non-citizen, national, or qualified alien. Be unable to obtain conventional financing with no private mortgage insurance. So that means that you do not have 20% to put down on a conventional loan. And then you must not be suspended and debarred from participation in federal programs. And like I mentioned, there's no down payment, and then you have to be in an area that is not green, that is not orange. So that is basically an overview of the USDA program, and that's basically all. Okay, and lastly, I want to talk about my 2 mortgage lender partners. First, I have Michelle Albon. She's actually out of Knoxville, Tennessee, but she's a great resource. She's very well versed for many, many, many years in all types of loans, all types of home loans. And like I said, she can help you with anything that you may need in regards to mortgage lending, questions about the process, questions about the loans that I didn't answer or that I didn't go into in my overviews of them. And then my other one is Susan Yockey, who I mentioned could help you with your credit or help you get to your credit to a certain level for free. She's a loan officer actually in Leavenworth, Kansas, which is pretty close to the entire Kansas City area. And she's licensed in both Kansas and Missouri and has helped many of my clients. And that is all today. I hope you enjoyed my overview of the 4 types of loans and that it wasn't super boring. I know a lot of the requirements, it can seem like I'm saying the same things over and over again. However, most of them have similar requirements, which is why you have to talk about the few things. The big things I think for me are the no down payment type loans, because I know as a new home buyer, at least when I went through that trying to come up with that 20% for conventional or not knowing the other options really hindered my ability to buy a home until I realized what was going on and the other options that were out there available to me. So if you have any more questions or if you're thinking of moving to Kansas City, just shoot me a text or email. They're both on the screen right now, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.